Hello, this is Cindy of Studio Kitsch Design. Before we get started learning how to create easy marquee lettering, everything I use in this video will be linked somewhere in the description box. As you can see here, I have a document open. Most of my documents are 12 by 12 inches, and I've added the lettering guide that you'll find a link to in the description, along with the color palette that I used in this video. I'm going to hop into the Layers panel and swipe left and lock the letter guide so that I don't accidentally write on it, and then I'll create a new layer. Now let's set up some guides. This really helps me create more uniform letters. So tap on the wrench icon, then toggle on the drawing guide, then tap Edit Drawing Guide, and choose 2D Grid, and set the grid size to about 413 pixels. And then tap Done. Now it's kind of hard to see, but I want to keep my letters inside the line above and below the lettering guide. Okay, I'm going to use the Chunky Shadow Left 2 brush from my Letterland brush set, and this will give us an instant shadowed letter. And I've set the size to about 15%. Now first off, I'm just going to start with some super simple letters. And we'll want to have a new layer for each letter. And for the letter O, tap and hold one finger to invoke the quick shape. And then we can get the Move tool to move and resize our letter. And let's create a new layer. The trick to using the shadow brushes for the letter Y or similar letters is to not lift up your brush. You will end up drawing back over part of the letter, but that's okay. This brush set includes a PDF that has a bunch of tips and tricks on how to use these and all the brushes. Now these are fun and quick letters that work great for the marquee style, but I want to add serifs to my letters, so let's go ahead and delete these. Okay, we'll need a new layer. Okay, and then we can start drawing our letter J, and remember not to lift up your Apple Pencil between each stroke of your letter. And I think you can kind of see how I'm kind of drawing back over the top of the letter J. And you might have to practice it a few times, but I find that if you just try not to think about it too much, try not to think about it being perfect, because it doesn't have to be. These are supposed to be whimsical, and doing it quickly seems to help me too. Okay, and I'm going to get the Move tool and move the J over just a little bit so I have room for my O. Then in the layers, I'll lock the J and then create a new layer. Then I'm just going to draw the O and then hold down my finger to invoke the quick shape, and then I'm going to tap on Edit Shape and then just kind of rework it a little bit. Okay, and now we can create another new layer, and let's lock the letter O, and then let's go ahead and start drawing our letter Y, and remember not to lift up your Apple Pencil between the strokes of the serifs and the letter, and you might have to do it a couple times. And I'll get the Move tool and just move it a bit. It was a little bit bigger, I think, than my other letters. Okay, and then we can also, now that we have all our letters created, we can just resize and move those into better position. Okay, now sometimes there's a little bit of jagginess on these brushes. So we can just get a basic mono style brush and the red, the medium red color, and just kind of go over this a little bit and smooth the edges just a bit. Just draw over those to smooth them, and it's usually just in a few places, and you don't even have to bother with it, but it just kind of bugs me. Okay, let's open the layers and choose the letter J and grab the light red from the colors. Hop back into the layers and tap Select and then Automatic, and then tap on the solid part of your letter to make a selection, and then back in the layers, create a new layer, and then you'll need to really zoom in so you can see what you're doing. And using the same mono style brush, just draw a border around the solid portion of your letter. And since we made a selection and the selection is still active, it keeps our lines inside of the solid part of our letter, so we don't have to worry about going outside of the edges. And you can also use the eraser to help you shape and clean up the edges. I tend to switch back and forth between the brush and eraser a lot, and the whole point of these letters are that they're whimsical, so just remember that they don't have to be perfect. Otherwise you'll drive yourself crazy. The next thing we want to do in the layers panel is duplicate our outline layer, and then select the original outline layer and then tap on it, choose Alpha Lock, then get the dark red from the colors. Now back in the layers, tap on the layer and choose Fill Layer. Tap again and turn off Alpha Lock. And this new outline layer is our inner shadow layer. So get the Move tool and move it towards the right and down a little. And in the layers, choose the original outline layer, tap on it and choose Select, and then choose Automatic, and then tap somewhere on the shadow part of the letter. And then in the layers, tap back on the outline shadow layer, double tap on your Apple Pencil, and this will just get rid of some of that shadow layer that we don't want, that's extending outside of the solid part of our letter. And then we can go ahead and get the eraser tool to help clean up any excess. Okay, I'm going to try to keep my layers organized. So in the layers, I'm going to swipe right on all my J layers and group them together, and then swipe left and lock them. Now grab the light red from the colors, then tap on the letter O in the layers and choose Select. Then tap Clear, and then tap on the solid portion of the letter O to make a selection. In the layers, create a layer right above the letter O, and then with the mono brush, go ahead and draw a border inside the selection on the edges of the solid part of our letter. We're following the same steps that we did with the letter J, and we can also use the eraser to help us clean it up. The next thing we want to do in the layers panel is duplicate our outline layer, and then select the original outline layer and then tap on it, choose Alpha Lock, then get the dark red from the colors. Now back in the layers, tap on the layer and choose Fill Layer. Tap again and turn off Alpha Lock. Now get the Move tool and move the shadow outline to the right and down a little bit. And in the layers, choose the original outline layer, tap on it and choose Select, then tap Clear, and then tap somewhere on the shadow part of the letter. And then in the layers, tap back on the outline shadow layer, double tap on your Apple Pencil and choose Cut. Let's group our O letters together and lock the group. Okay, let's go ahead and grab the light red from the colors, and then in the layers, tap on the letter Y and choose Select, Clear, then tap on the solid part of the Y, create a new layer above it in the layers, and just like we did for the last two letters, draw a border inside the selection on the solid part of our letter, and we can also use the eraser to clean it up. Okay, in the layers, let's duplicate the outline and then select the original outline layer, grab the dark red from the colors, tap on the outline layer and choose Alpha Lock, tap again and choose Fill Layer. Now get the Move tool and move the shadow outline to the right and down a little bit. And in the layers, choose the original outline layer, tap on it and choose Select, then tap Clear, and then tap somewhere on the shadow part of the letter. And then in the layers, tap back on the outline shadow layer, double tap on your Apple Pencil and choose Cut. Okay, our letters are done. So in the layers panel, create a new layer right above the letter J outline, and then grab one of the cream colors from the color palette, and I'm using a brush from my String Lights brush set. It's bright soft, and I'm going to use this to create the light bulbs, and I think I'll make mine about 6%. You might want to make yours bigger, and then I'm just going to go ahead and draw those on. You can do a combination of drawing them on and tapping. And then let's create a new layer right above the letter O and go ahead and draw on those. And again, we can do a combination of drawing and tapping. Okay, let's create another new layer right above our letter Y. And now go ahead and draw on those lights. And now I want to create some shadows, so I'm going to create a new layer at the bottom of my layers panel. And then I'm going to grab the darkest red from the colors. I'll use a basic mono brush and then draw a sideways oval at the bottom of my letter Y. And then use color drop to fill it in, and I'll get the move tool to move it into position. And now I'll tap on the adjustments icon and choose Gaussian blur and then choose layer. And then I'll just slide my Apple Pencil to the right into about 7% or so till it's nice and fuzzy. And then in the layers panel, I'll go ahead and lower the opacity to about 35% or so. Then I'll duplicate that layer, and then I'll move the duplicate layer up underneath the letter Y. Now tap on the bottom shadow layer, and then on the document, get the move tool, and then move it over to the bottom right side of the letter J. And in the layers, let's make another duplicate copy of the shadow layer, and then get the move tool, and then move it over to the bottom right side of the letter O. And back in the layers, choose the shadow under the letter Y, then tap on the letter Y and choose select, tap clear, and then tap on both the solid and shadow areas of the letter. In the layers, choose the letter Y shadow layer, double tap your Apple Pencil, and choose cut. This just gets rid of the part of the shadow that overlaps our letter. Okay, and I'm going to move my letter O shadow underneath the letter O. Now I'll tap on the letter O and choose select, clear, and then tap on both the solid and shadow areas of my letter O. Choose the O shadow layer in the layers, and then double tap your Apple Pencil and choose cut. And I'm just going to speed through the letter J shadow following the same instructions. And I'm going to go ahead and lower the opacity a bit more to about 26 or 27%. And we can go ahead and tap on the wrench and toggle off the drawing guide. Okay, next I'm going to grab a dark charcoal from the colors, and I'm going to use the Triple Threat 3 brush from my Letterland brushes. And I think I'll change the background to a dark charcoal color, and then that means I'm going to have to change the shadows now. So I'm going to open up the letter J shadow, and then I'll change the blend mode to multiply. That way I don't have to recolor it. And then I'll just quickly do the same to the other shadow layers. And now I'll have to adjust the opacity to about 49% or so to make them a little bit deeper since it's on a charcoal color. All right, now I'm going to create a new layer and grab the light cream from the colors. And I'll just add some lettering to go with my marquee letters. And you could write whatever you want. It's always so much fun for me to see what you guys come up with. And finally, I'll add some little accents. I don't know if you're like me, but I find it really hard to find a stopping point in a lot of the things that I create. And maybe that's just a sign that I'm having a good time, so I guess it's okay. And that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed the video and it will inspire you to create something fun. I so enjoy teaching and really appreciate you watching my tutorials. Be sure to follow me at Studio Kitsch Design on Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and visit studiokitsch.com and sign up for some fabulous freebies.